Welcome to episode 1 of Freemasonry in the Bakken podcast. I'm your host, Nolan Overton, a Master Mason, Shriner, and Order of the Eastern Star member.
Hi, I'm Tyler Hall, and I'm a Master Mason, Shriner, Order of the Eastern Star, and Senior D. Malay.
Hello, I am Dr. Robert Baer. I am a Master Mason and a Shriner and the hospital rep for Western North Dakota.
The views, opinions, and thoughts shared in the show are that of the individual host or guest and not intended to represent the entire show, other co-hosts, Freemasonry, independent body, or grand jurisdiction as a whole. We try to have as much accurate and correct as possible, but reserve the right to be human and make mistakes. If you feel we have a fact wrong or have a difference of opinion, we encourage you to contact us via our contact page on the website for a mature, friendly discussion on the fact or topic. On this episode, we are letting Dr. Baer take the lead and tell us why we're here and what brought us to the table.
Well, Nolan and Tyler, I am just really excited. I mean, this was an idea I thought about 2-3 weeks ago, and I wanted to do something different. You know, this town is growing. When I moved here 11 years ago, there was only like 16,000 people here. But now with the Bakken oil, you know, we're up above 40,000 people coming here.
And the biggest thing I hear as the master of the lodge here in Dickinson is I didn't know you still had a lodge in Dickinson.
Absolutely. And as I drive around the town here, you know, I'm on my way home from work, and I see all these vehicles with their license plates. You know, they all say Utah, Texas, Louisiana, and I see the shrine emblem, and I see the Masonic emblem on the back. And sometimes I go home and I have to ask my wife, you know, what state are we in? Because I've not seen another North Dakota license plate. So, you know, the thing is to try to get, I want to reach out to the brothers that are coming here from other states and say, you know, come join us and be a part of this because it's very exciting. And brought this idea to you and Tyler here, and I think we're both, all three of us are kind of excited to move this forward.
You know, when you first brought the idea to my attention, I think it must have been like 10 o'clock at night.
It was.
And I was playing my little computer game. My wife was watching TV, and you messaged me. It's like, I don't know why we didn't think of this sooner. It just made sense. And the gentleman, you know, the three of us that you, or yourself included, I guess, the two of us that you called to help you with this makes sense. We're all passionate about Freemasonry. We're passionate about pushing Freemasonry further in Western North Dakota, where it used to be really strong, but because of time and, you know, modern lifestyle, it's starting to slip. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for the Masons in the Bakken region, and we're not talking just Western North Dakota. We're talking Western North Dakota, Eastern Montana, Northern South Dakota, tips of Wyoming, Southern Saskatchewan, anywhere where the Western North Dakota way of life and the oil fields touch. We want to reach out to and say, hey, we're here to help, and join us and tell us what you know. Educate.
Absolutely. And you know, we're not all here from native North Dakotans. I myself am from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So I'm a Mason who has been planted here now in Western North Dakota. Tyler, how about yourself? You know?
Yeah, I'm actually from Lincoln, Nebraska, and I came up here after college. I went to the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and then came here. So
we have a Pennsylvania Mason, we have a Nebraskan Mason, and we have a North Dakota Mason. Now, I'm not originally from North Dakota, but I've lived here long enough to say I'm pretty much.
This is home now?
Yeah, I was going to say unfortunately, but yeah, it's been over 26 years, so this is home. This was raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, so which also brings a nice, I think, robust feel to the podcast because we weren't all under the same philosophy when we were raised a Master Mason. You know, Dr. Baer, I know you've seen stuff that in your home lodge that I've never seen.
Yes.
Tyler, the same for you. You've seen stuff that I've never seen. And it's going to be interesting to learn your unique perspectives coming from this, because whereas Western North Dakota Masonry may not be as 100% strict on ritual, we have a lot of the meaning and heart behind it. Where I know some other lodges, especially possibly out east, they're very strict on ritual.
Right.
And Nebraska, I couldn't tell you what Nebraska Masonry is like. Tyler, what is Nebraska Masonry like compared to what you've seen in North Dakota?
Well, in Nebraska we have what's called Lodge of Perfection, and so it's kind of a learning tool, lodge of education basically, and Each lodge every year has to be proficient in the work and the ritual, memorization and all that. So
They put a lot of heart and effort into making sure you get your ritual and your get it down. Or do they do a similar thing out in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, back in PA, they have what's called the School of Instructions.
Okay, well, we have those in North Dakota.
Okay. And unfortunately, I was not very active because I ended up I left Pennsylvania to pursue my doctoral degree, so I wasn't able to make it through the chairs or that as I had hoped. But hopefully that will change now as I work through getting my membership here in the Dickinson Lodge and hopefully work through the chairs there, so change that a little.
Now, I know North Dakota has the schools of instruction, and there's actually going to be one scheduled coming up soon, hopefully for the Dickinson Lodge and the Hettinger Lodge, as soon as we can coordinate what works best for our officer who's in charge of that. So we have a similar thing, but whereas Nebraska sounds like you have to be certified, and I don't know about Pennsylvania, in North Dakota, it's like, do you have enough people to open a lodge? If so, get it done. Mm-hmm. And I'm also looking forward to listener interaction. It's not, the three of us are great friends and we can have a wonderful discussion. But I'm also looking forward to hearing from our listeners on how they feel, things they've noticed, what they suggest. Because you've put 50 Masons in a room, you're going to have 53 opinions on how something should be done, which I think is fantastic. And what makes us stronger is we're not relying on one person's ideal every time to get something done.
Well, I think it's always nice to have some new blood come in with new ideas, which can kind of bring more people in. And everybody's coming in here. They have different experiences, different likes, and I think there's some brothers that are out there that can join us, and we can learn a lot from them.
And what I've learned from starting at DMLA and then building on the leadership of that and going into Masons too is just the fact that in Lodge you're an equal. And you learn more public speaking and you learn more about talking with brothers multiply and not just one-on-one type of deal.
Oh, exactly. Okay, so Tyler, let me ask you this. What enticed you to become a Mason? What was the driving force going, yes, I want to become a Freemason? What was that?
Well, it was actually a brother, senior DMLA now, who was actually just talking with some other friends of ours about joining DMLA when I was a boy. I was 19 at the time. DMLA is for the ages of 12 to 21. And I was just really struck home, the leadership involved, the different activities that can be involved. It was run by the boys themselves and that sort of thing. So, the material that he had of that sort of thing, of what he was talking with the other boys that he wanted to, prospective members that he wanted to join DMLA, it just enticed me too.
So was the Blue Lodge portrayed as in a continuation of the DMLA chapter to a degree?
Yeah, for most boys, they stem off of that and then join Masons. And
I don't mean most boys. I mean, for you, was it basically
yes.
That's the way you understood? Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, that's how I did it. And then once I joined Masonry, then I found out some relatives of mine were. So that was great.
Bob, how about you? What was your passion, your driving force to join Freemasonry or become a Freemason?
Well, my path is kind of unique in many ways. I was raised in what I would say would be considered a Masonic family. I have both my parents were very active. My father's a Mason, a Shriner. My mother active in the Eastern Star. My grandmother on my paternal side of the family were also both very active in those organizations. Grandmother was Queen of Daughters of the Nile at one point.
Wow.
So growing up, I guess I was 12 years old when I was first introduced to DeMolay. Joined the Carlisle DeMolay chapter. So for my brothers out there in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, that was a long time ago. But then I grew a lot in DeMolay, learned how to become a young man, learned how to work on good morals, develop good morals and values that the DeMolay instills on young men at that time, and very impressed me a lot, along with my parents. But then at the age of 17, something happened in my life where I had a diving accident, and as a result of that, became a quadriplegic. At the time in Pennsylvania, there was a law that, there was a ruling that if you had a disability of some type, you could not become a Pennsylvania Mason, and that was very devastating for me. And maybe at another show we'll go more into that.
Okay, sounds good.
Long story short, I was able to, through the Grand Master, be made a Mason at the age of 19, and I was made a Mason by Mason on site at the annual meeting out at Penn State University, and then I petitioned the lodge and joined Robert Burns' Lodge, 464, out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So, and now you got me out here. So it's my reason for joining is because I want to be a better man, and I want to live through, the symbols of the craft to be a better person.
Fantastic. And so you had an intimate knowledge of Masonry before you even hit the age of 12.
Yes.
And you did not or did have any knowledge until you joined DeMolay?
I don't know, not too terribly, not much, I think. Yeah, again, it wasn't until after I joined Masons from DeMolay that I found out some of my relatives were Masons, and my sister was actually invited to the Job's Daughters, which is the girls' organization that you have to be related to a Mason in order for the girls to join.
Okay. See, I come from it, a little different. I was never in DeMolay.
Okay.
I'm one of them. I'm doing air quotes with my hands. I know it comes across the wall on the radio, but
It does.
Everything I knew about Freemasonry, I got from books, and I saw on TV.
So who was your mentor? Who brought you in?
It was actually a local gentleman. He's actually our senior warden in our lodge. Another friend of mine who's no longer an active Mason, he's actually in the Navy overseas. I think he's in Saudi Arabia at a base right now. He approached this gentleman about joining Freemasonry because he knew he was a member of the lodge, etc. I didn't even know there was a lodge in Dickinson, but I'd always had a passion. I love history. If I thought having a degree in history would have been profitable, I would have gotten a history degree instead of a computer science degree. But I didn't want to end up teaching at a university the rest of my life, which I know isn't the only thing you do with history degrees. But when you're 21 in college or whatever, that's what my mentality was.
Oh, you could be a politician.
Like I said, I didn't want to end up teaching at a university the rest of my life, with the history degree. But I've always had a love of learning those things. Freemasonry, I don't want to say secret societies, but that's kind of what it was for me back then because I had an outsider's ignorant knowledge. I don't say ignorance not being derogatory, meaning you just don't know.
Right.
The true definition of ignorance is you don't have an understanding of it. And that's how I approached it, but I always wanted to learn more. I knew it wasn't the evil that was portrayed in the media. I just didn't have any exposure to it. Mm-hmm. I'd come from a long line of Catholics. The only Masonry in my family was my grandfather was an actual physical Mason out of eastern Nebraska. However, my dad chose not to join becoming a Mason himself. He went off to become a retail manager. So I had absolutely no knowledge other than what I had seen and heard. But I had the passion to learn more. And as I was exposed, from the initial interview, discussion, what it's for, what it's about, my passion grew and kept growing. And as I went through the entered apprentice, the fellow craft, it grew even further. to what I could become. I went from this secret elite group of whatever to I now know how I can make myself a better person.
So you're kind of going down the path of enlightenment.
Exactly.
In Freemasonry.
I mean, and whereas you gentlemen had a little bit of pre-knowledge, I had no knowledge.
And what I love about it, too, is the amount of learning you can do, not just, in lodge every time you see the degree work and stuff, you get more out of it. But then also you have the appendant bodies that, joining the York Rite and the Shrine and the Scottish Rite and the Eastern Star, just learn a little bit more each time. And, that what I love about it is my relatives that were Masons were also involved with the clergy, pastors and such of the United Methodist Church. And so kind of that symbolism in that church that I'm used to, follows some symbolism in the Freemasonry, and that's what I love, and learning more about that stuff too.
And I'm sure we'll delve into this in future episodes, but just what we use in common talk, certain phrases, certain things are based on Freemasonry or come from Masonic ideals.
Oh, absolutely. Our everyday way of life. And I think that the biggest thing is, as the three of us are talking here, it's more or less, we're not just Masons. We live Freemasonry. Every single day we strive to be better people because of what we believe in this wonderful fraternity of ours.
Right.
We're living Masons.
Well, exactly. And just that, and Masonry evolves too. It's the oldest fraternity in the world. However, just the fact that three of us are here and other people are listening to this conversation wherever they're at in the world shows that we're not this secret organization out bent on taking over the world. We're here because we want to be better men, and we want to bring that message to other people.
And I think that's part of our the goal of our podcast is not just to have current Masons and their families to listen in, but young men that want to become involved, that really would like to learn what this great fraternity really is about.
Well, exactly.
And like you said, there is a lot of myths and lies, and if you look at some of the latest TV shows, which we'll get into, like Sleepy Hollow, it's really nice, but it's fantasy, and it portrays Masons in a different light, not some good, some bad, and again, there's a lot of mystery. And I think as in upcoming shows, and hopefully through guests that we have and authors that we invite on this show, that they will help us go through these questions and maybe answer the ones that many people have, but people are afraid to ask.
Well, exactly. And I think we stand to do some great justice to our fraternity this way.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to wrap this up. We're getting to about that time frame. For this first episode, I'd really like to thank our very first sponsor.
Yes.
It's the Badlands Shrine Circus Management Unit. For 50-some years, they've been bringing the circus to southwestern North Dakota, and they've gone out on a limb. They thought what we're doing has some great potential, and I'd really love to thank them for sponsoring this show.
Yeah, they're a great group of guys, really dedicated, and I too want to thank them for supporting us.
Yes, thanks, guys.
The three of us have helped with the circus from the level of being a Shriner, and it's not just booking the location and waiting for it to come. There's work that starts 6 months in advance, trying to coordinate and put this together. And then there's 5 months of recovery after the circus. And then you get a 1-month vacation, and then you're back hitting the streets again, trying to bring the circus to reality. So
starts all over again. And all three of us here have been serving on this committee, so we know what it's like.
Exactly.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
So,
and it's time now for the trestle board. November 6th, Killdeer Lodge number 112, meeting at 7:30 up in Killdeer. November 6th, Golden Rule number 17, Order of the Eastern Star, is meeting at the basement of the Gate City Bank at 7:30. And November 13th, Dickinson Lodge number 32, meeting at 7:30 at the basement of the Elks in Dickinson. And if you know of any Masonic or appendant body activities coming up or have comments or suggestions on an episode, you can contact us at our website at www.bakkenmasons.com, our Facebook page at facebook.com/bakkenmasons, Twitter at bakkenmasons.com, email us at contact@bakkenmasons.com, or leave us a voicemail at 1512. And if you are discussing a show, topic, or podcast with friends online, we encourage you to use the hashtag BakkenMasons.
And now, before you bring this to a close, I do want to mention that this is our first episode, and we're getting a Stitcher account for those of you who use the Stitcher app for listening to online audio. And when we have the Stitcher account, we'll be releasing that on our Facebook page and on our website.
Okay, now next week we're going to be talking about what it means to be a Mason. So that will be on our next episode.
Episode 2.
Well, gentlemen, it has come to the time where we must say farewell. And I'd like to leave you with the parting poem here called I Am a Builder. I watched them tearing a building down, a gang of men in a busy town. With a heave and a hoe and a lusty yell, they swung a beam and the sides fell. I asked the foreman, are these men skilled, and the kind you would hire if you had to build? And he gave me a laugh and said, no, indeed, just common labor is all I need. I can easily wreck in a day or two what other builders have taken a year to do. And I thought to myself, as I went my way, which of these roles have I tried to play? Am I a builder that works with care, measuring life by the rule and square? Am I shaping my deeds to a well-made plan, patiently doing the best I can? Or am I the wrecker who walks the town, content with the labor of tearing down?